All right, today we're going to dive into a really personal story. It's about a family trying to figure out how to handle grief, new love, and, well, all the fragile things that hold a family together. And right in the middle of it all is a father who's caught in a truly impossible spot. And this is the question at the heart of it all. For this widowed father, every single choice he made just seemed to push him further away from someone he loved dearly. So, how did things get to this point? Let's unpack it. Okay, so to really get what's going on here, we have to rewind a bit. We need to go back to the beginning, to this incredibly powerful bond between a teenage boy and his mom, who had passed away. The way his grief was described is wow. It was said he carried it like a second heartbeat. I mean, just think about that for a second. 2 years after his mom was gone, his grief wasn't some distant memory. It was this constant, living, breathing part of him. It literally defined his world. And a huge part of that bond was built around this sacred ritual they had. Twice a year, every single year, the two of them would go to the British Museum in London. It wasn't just some vacation, it was their thing. And what's really important is that after she passed away, his dad did everything he could to keep that tradition going for him. And this quote, man, this says everything. For his own birthday, the son didn't want gifts or a party or even a cake. He just wanted the museum. That experience, that connection to his mom, that was the gift. It was everything to him. This wasn't just some trip, it was his lifeline. And then, as life does, things changed. Big time. The father remarried, and with that came a whole new family dynamic, new priorities, and, of course, new pressures. So, about a year into the new marriage, his wife gets pregnant. And you can imagine, with a baby on the way, her perspective starts to shift. Suddenly, this very expensive trip to London, it starts to look a lot less like a sacred ritual and a lot more like a luxury they just couldn't afford. And right there, that's the core conflict, isn't it? On one hand, you've got the son's deep emotional need to honor his mom. But on the other, you have the new family's very real, very practical need to save money for their new baby. So the father, stuck in the middle, makes what he thinks is the responsible call. He agrees to cancel the trip. But what seemed like a logical, responsible decision? Well, it turned into an absolute emotional breaking point. The second the father and his new wife broke the news to the son, any sense of peace they had in that house just shattered. And the son's reaction wasn't just, oh, I'm disappointed. No, it was a full-on explosion of anger and pure heartbreak. For him, this wasn't just canceling a vacation. It felt like a massive betrayal. And in that heated moment, the son just laid it all out there. He yelled that he didn't care about the money or even about the new baby. All that mattered was this tradition, this one connection he had left with his mom. But then he said something that just cut right to the bone. He accused his stepmother of doing it on purpose. He truly believed this wasn't about saving money at all, but that she was trying to erase his mom's memory and push him out of the family. And just like that, the fight became deeply, deeply personal. So, voices were raised, tears were shed on all sides. But you know what the worst part was? The silence that came after. A thick, painful silence that just hung over the house for a whole day. It was the kind of quiet that tells you something has just broken. And that fight, well, it wasn't just a one-off thing. It was really the start of a much deeper problem. A huge chasm of misunderstanding that was only going to get wider. And from there, things just got more complicated. The son's uncle actually stepped in and offered to take the boy to London himself. At first, the dad said yes. But then his wife pushed back. She was worried it would make her look bad, that it would undermine her as a parent. So the father, trying to keep the peace in his new marriage, sided with her and took back his permission. And this right here shows you just how broken the communication was. The son saw her actions as trying to erase his mother. But from her perspective, she was just making the home her own. He felt like she was constantly criticizing him. She thought she was just trying to parent. He felt like he was an obstacle. She felt she was building a new family. I mean, they were living in two completely different worlds. So in the end, after all the fighting, all the offers, all the misunderstandings, the trip just never happened. The ritual was broken. And the fallout from that broken ritual, it didn't just go away.
A full year goes by. The new baby is born, which should be this incredible, happy moment for everyone. But for the father and his son, the gap between them had only gotten bigger.
And you could really see the effects. The son started spending less and less time at home. He became colder with his dad, really short with his stepmother. They even had to start going to therapy more often. That one unresolved fight was basically poisoning the entire family.
Which brings us right back to where we are now. The father is just eaten up with guilt. He knows he has to fix this, but the problem is, trying to fix it puts him right back in the same impossible situation he was in a year ago.
So here's the dilemma. A year later, and it's basically the same. The dad wants, no, needs to take his son on that trip to try and repair their bond. But his wife is worried. She thinks that giving in now would just be rewarding his bad behavior from last year, and it would completely undermine their authority as parents.
But you see, for the father, this isn't even about a birthday anymore. It's so much more than that. It's a desperate last-ditch effort to fix something that he now realizes is incredibly fragile and maybe even irreplaceable. And that's his relationship with his son.
And so we're left right back where we started, with that haunting question. After seeing all the pain, all the misunderstanding, but also all the love on every side of this, what's the right move here? I mean, is there even a right answer? It really makes you think about that delicate, impossible balance between honoring the past and trying to build a new future.